For 26 years, Rachael Geiser has worked behind the scenes of America's toughest trials. As a criminal defense investigator, she stood with defense teams in cases that made headlines and many that never did, but changed lives forever. This is the Geiser Files.
Drunk as hell this night on the stereo. Place your hands in mine. So
Hey, Rachael, how's it going?
It's going great, Tony. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Episode 5. Excited?
Yeah,
We're going to wrap up the West Memphis Three story today.
that's amazing.
I thought we did that last week when they were released and we went to the party and had such a good time.
So did I. Flash forward a few years. We're not done yet.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
Well, about April of 2021, I got a text or call from Lorri saying, "Can you help us out?" She then began to tell me that there is this new technology, DNA technology, and asked me if I'd heard of it. It's called MVAC testing. Have you heard of MVAC?
MVAC?
It's MVAC.
MVAC.
Sure.
No, I haven't heard of it.
So MVAC refers to using the MVAC wet vacuum DNA collection system. It is a tool that uses a combination of some kind of sterile liquid and vacuum suction to collect DNA samples from difficult and porous surfaces where traditional methods like swabbing have failed.
That sounds awesome.
So
Could that be useful in the West Memphis 3 case?
Potentially, we will find out. So usually when you do when forensic or police, I should say, do DNA swabs, when they process a crime scene. So let's say you think a suspect touched this table right here, right? In the process of committing a crime. You're like, I think he might have touched that. An examiner will take a tool to swab an area of the table. Then that swab, like a Q-tip, gets sent off for testing. What if you just happen to miss where that suspect touched? I mean, they don't typically swab an entire table. They might take a few swabs from various sections of the table, but not all of it. So with this MVAC technology, it looks like they are going to be putting a vacuum over an entire surface of some piece of evidence, trying to pull off everything that might be there.
Okay.
So it's going to cover a
sucks
greater
DNA out of the evidence.
right, or off of it, I should say.
Okay.
When Lorri called me about this, she asked me if I'd heard about this testing. It's something new. They had met with an expert to talk about it who had, given them some ideas about whether or not, there could be additional DNA testing that could be done in this case and whether anything could be gained from doing this kind of testing. That had been ongoing in the works, I think, for a while. I did not know that. When she called me in April of 21, she was telling me this has been going on, but there was now a problem. Apparently, the evidence had been maybe lost or burned up in a fire.
This is evidence from the West Memphis 3 case.
Right.
Can you tell us what the evidence was?
Well, I think at this point it was sort of a lot of things. They didn't know where a lot of the evidence might be. Specifically, though, what they wanted to get tested of utmost importance were the shoelaces, the ligatures. I think the expert had said if there's, any piece of evidence that might have, suspect DNA on it from what she was aware that might still exist, it would be most likely the shoelaces because those were tied presumably by the suspect, the perpetrator. His DNA could be on there. Or her.
Awesome.
Right. There had been conversations ongoing in the background, I guess, between the attorneys and the prosecutors about where is this evidence. Obviously, some years had passed. Things had been sent off even, in post-conviction to various labs for testing. Some things I think might have been at the Arkansas Crime Lab. Some things were at the West Memphis Police Department. So there was a process of trying to figure out where everything was and what still existed. The impression I got was that they were getting some pushback on getting any of this pulled together, categorized, I guess, to see what existed and what could be sent off. So she wanted some help with that.
Inventoried.
Right. Thank you. And as it turned out, I had some experience in doing this in Crittenden County. I had another case that happened there in the late mid to late 90s, where I had been asked, also on post-conviction, by a family member of the victims on that case to find the evidence, and because she wanted to go and review what was there, this client of mine. In doing that, I told Lorri, what we had to do is we had to file a FOIA request, a Freedom of Information Act request, and to Crittenden County. And then the sheriff's department on that case pulled everything together. We were allowed to come and look at it. So I said, have you tried that? Has anyone, and of course, if to file a FOIA request in Arkansas, you have to be an Arkansas resident, which I'm not. I'm like, Lorri, have you guys tried this? And she said no. So I said, let's try that. Let's try to file a FOIA to, at this point, make them respond to that request to tell us what happened, where this evidence might be. So this is April of 21. I think our local counsel, Patrick Benka, who'd been on the case for a while, ended up filing the request in Crittenden County. That kind of went on for a period of time. So that was April, May. Maybe the request had officially been filed spring, early summer maybe. And then December of 21, I get the confirmation that West Memphis police have found whatever evidence they found, and they have put it all together, or they were going to, in a room at the West Memphis Police Department, and were inviting us to come and look at it to see what was there. Patrick's assistant, Morgan, had scheduled all of this with West Memphis. We scheduled a date in December of 2021, and we met over there, me and Morgan and Patrick, along with personnel from the West Memphis Police Department, and were invited in to come and see what they had.
Okay, so they are ostensibly, they're going to show you all of the physical evidence that they still have in their possession.
Right.
Is this a lot of items?
It was. It was kind of...
Like a warehouse full or a
No,
van?
not a warehouse. So we met at the West Memphis Police Department, and there was like a conference room where there was one particular officer, it was a female officer for West Memphis Police, who had gathered all of this evidence, and it was some of the evidence, like the bicycles were there, the boys' bicycles.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But a lot of things were in containers, like big plastic containers.
Are they organized at all? Or labeled?
They were labeled by like box number or box letter.
Okay, so somewhere there's a manifest and inventory that tells you what's in each box, right?
Well, there was a document that this particular female police officer, if I'm not mistaken, for the West Memphis Police, she had reached out to all the various places where evidence could have been, crime lab, West Memphis Police, wherever everything was. She pulled it all together and put this list together of the boxes. Now, what was in the boxes, though, was still sort of unclear. And we weren't sure. We did have a list. I wasn't in charge of the list. I think Morgan and Patrick had the list that she had put together, the police officer. There were some things noted, obviously, and we didn't see anything noted that said ligatures. Mm-hmm. So we didn't see that on the list.
And you're looking for this
and
item.
That's what we're looking for. We're like, all right, so it's got to be in here somewhere, but it's not on this list, so we're not exactly sure where it is. Can we find it? And what else is here, right? So we're looking, and we meet at the West Memphis Police Department. We go into this room. All this stuff is there, and they're like, here you go. Have at it. Right.
And they're just standing around watching while you go through this stuff.
Yes, they are. Mm-hmm.
How many people are in the room?
Oh, wow. I think, so there's me, Morgan, and Patrick, this female officer. There might be one or two other officers. I think the city attorney or somebody official for West Memphis was there. Not impeding us in any way at all.
That was my next question.
Oh,
was
no.
it intimidating at all?
Not at all. Actually,
they're probably just as curious as everybody else.
In my opinion, I mean, I've done evidence views a lot of on almost every case before we go to trial. We do an evidence view, and it's all run very similarly. You meet. Prosecutor has somebody bring all the evidence together in a room. You look through it. You take photos of whatever you want. You don't touch things, without gloves on if, you shouldn't. And the prosecutor's always there watching. Sometimes they have their victim witness coordinator for Shelby County's there usually. So it was very similar to that, except it was a lot on this case. And a lot of things just in boxes that nobody kind of knew for sure what might be in the box. We're going through, each of the boxes, trying to really find where these ligatures are, and we're not finding them.
Mm-hmm.
There's one box left. I think, honestly, most people in the room are like, maybe they are lost. But I just was like, I feel like they're in this box. Go through this box. There's stuff. I can't even remember what else was in the box, but I get to this one envelope. It said something on the outside about some agency. It had been at some forensic something, like a lab or at some point. I don't even remember now. It didn't say anything about ligatures on the outside of this envelope. I just was like, I think, so I don't know. It was so weird. But I was like, I think
everybody's given up.
Pretty much. But I was like, nope. I'm going to open this envelope. I really feel like.
Is it sealed? Do you have to tear it open? Is it a destructive envelope?
No, I mean, it's not. So there's an envelope, and then there's stuff inside the envelope that's sealed.
Okay.
And so within the envelope or the package, whatever, like a UPS package, I think it was like a UPS or FedEx package. Because, these things had been sent off for testing before. So they're just put back in the packages and sent back to the crime lab or wherever it was sent back to. Within there were 3 envelopes of, it said ligatures on the outside for the 3 boys. And I was like, that was a huge moment for me. And I know it sounds like such a simple thing, and it was such a simple thing. It was just going through boxes to look for something. Like, I felt like I won the Super Bowl when I found these envelopes. It was seriously one of the best moments of my career, was just literally looking through boxes and finding these ligatures.
That's really neat. And so where are these ligatures now?
I think they should be at Bode.
Bode is the lab?
The lab that is doing the MVAC testing, yes. And I've been told they're at Bode, so they're hopefully being tested. I don't know. I haven't heard anything about what's going on or what's happened with the testing.
What do we hope to find?
Well, we hope to find the perpetrator's DNA, right?
Was anything else sent for testing?
Okay, so I don't have that list in front of me, but yes, I know some hairs were sent off from what I remember, but other evidentiary items other than the ligatures, because that was the main focus, I'm not sure. I don't have that list in front of me.
Wow. Very interesting. You said a lot of this evidence has been sent off for testing in other places and come back. Is there a good chain of custody for these items? When evidence starts flying all over the country and coming back, how do you know it's not contaminated or altered or? I mean,
I'm assuming there's a chain of custody for, who handled it at the different labs. But I think the issue was when it came back to West Memphis, that was the issue for that period of time when they had decided they wanted to do the MVAC testing, filing the FOIA request, was having someone figure out when it came back to West Memphis from the labs. Because I think we did testing. They did a lot of testing on the DNA around 2006, 2007, and then we sent, other things off. And so from that time period, I think they did some additional things in 2011 potentially. But when it came back to West Memphis, there was, I guess, these questions within West Memphis, like, well, who has it and where did it go? Did it stay at the crime? Did it go back to the crime lab?
Is that common?
Is it common for evidence? On post-conviction, I don't know. I can't answer that on post-conviction cases, like when you're doing testing.
Do you get the sense that West Memphis takes good care of their evidentiary property?
Well,
Are they good custodians or no?
Are they good? I don't know. I mean, I know that it's weird when I think someone had told Damien or somebody had said they thought it was burned up in a fire. And I think Mara Leverett.
I was going to ask about the fire.
Yeah.
Was there indeed a fire? I've never heard of a fire in West Memphis.
I have no idea, but I think Mara Leverett I had read that Mara, who, wrote Devil's Knot, she had filed a request for all fires in the area whenever they said maybe this fire happened, and she did not locate any fire reports at the police department or where they said their evidence had been held.
Are they held properly? I guess I just asked that question, but like in a climate-controlled environment, are they in a shed somewhere?
I don't know.
You don't know? In
I
a
don't.
basement? They got to be in like a basement somewhere, right?
Where at West Memphis?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where the female officer pulled all of the boxes from that she put into.
About her, sounds like she did good.
She did awesome. Yeah, I wish I could remember her name. She was super nice too. I mean, very nice. I think people, I mean, like maybe people think we went to the basement where they keep all the evidence, and there were other cases and evidence. That is not how it, and that's not typically how it happens. When you go to do an evidence view,
They bring it to you.
They bring it to you so that you're not like being subject and around other case files.
Yeah, that's very cool and exciting, and something really cool could come out of this, right?
We hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm hoping we hear something in the not too distant future. I mean, everything's at Bode, so we'll see.
Do you know how long ago it was sent? You don't know, do you?
I don't know exactly the date that it was sent off. No.
When did you find it?
December of 2021.
Holy cow. It's been almost 4 years ago.
Yeah. So we're in there. We find the ligatures. Everyone's really excited we found it. I even felt like the people from West Memphis that were there were excited we found it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was like, okay. I mean, the feeling was that day, all right, we found what we were looking for, and there was kind of an agreement that we were just going to send this off now, and they were going to keep it for us. Obviously, they're in charge of the evidence, and we would figure out what the next steps were. Well, those what is it? August of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's 4 years later, almost 4 years later. Why has it been sitting there? I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of.
Did they resist sending the evidence off for new testing?
Apparently, at some point, we ended up in court. I mean, June. Let's flash forward now to June of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I think, when the hearing, Lorri, Damien, other people came to town for a hearing that was happening in West Memphis about sending the evidence off to be testing. So we're having to go through court now to have a judge say, let's send this evidence off.
Does the state pay for it?
No, I think all along we had agreed that.
But it's their property, so to speak.
Yeah, the Innocence Project, I think, is really involved now and has been involved for a while with trying to make this happen. So I think they're doing whatever they do. I've had no contact with any of the attorneys for the Innocence Project on this case, but that was not the issue. Was the paying for it, as far as I know. So we're over there for this hearing. It's so funny because I hadn't seen Damien. I hadn't seen them since Nashville when we were there for West Memphis for the viewing that we went on that. So that would have been 2012. So it's been a long time, I think, that I've actually seen Damien and Lorri. Lorri tells me they're going to be in town. They're going to go to this hearing. It's like the first time I think Damien maybe has been back in West Memphis, since his arrest. Mm-hmm. And I think he'd been back in Little Rock for something to do with, the death penalty, what was happening with the death penalty a few years prior. But in West Memphis, I think this was maybe the first time he'd been back. They were staying at a hotel downtown, and they said, why don't you meet us at the hotel, and we'll all go over to the hearing together, because I really wanted to be there. Especially, it's such a big thing. I know it's so crazy. It's not that huge of a deal, like accomplishment-wise, that I literally just found something in a box. But to me, it meant a lot. I just felt like it was actually something that I did that could have some, huge substantive outcome here.
Yeah, I think you're underselling it.
Yeah, well, I think top 3 moment of my career was literally just finding this in this box. So anyway, they said, meet us at the hotel. We'll go over there together. So I get to the hotel. They're there. So excited to see them, obviously.
How come I didn't get to go to that?
I don't know what you were doing, but I know Jacob wanted to come. So I invited Jacob to come. I think you were working, I'm sure.
I think we were fighting.
I took a day. No, I don't think so. I took a day off from work, obviously, because it was on a weekday. I took a vacation day so I could just be there for this. I'm glad I didn't bring Jacob, because what happened at court was weird. But I get there. Well, more to tell before we get to court.
Uh-oh.
So Damien and Lorri decide they're going to drive with me. They're going to let me drive them over there. I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm really glad to be able to take you back into West Memphis. So, of course, I drive to the Crittenden County Courthouse, because that's where I thought it was happening. So
Right.
it's the courthouse in Marion, where I go for everything I need to do in Crittenden County. Only it's been so long that I've actually worked in Crittenden County. I didn't even know they built a whole new facility in West Memphis. So we get there and there's nobody there. Like there's no one there. So I think I asked someone, well, where's this hearing happening? And someone was like, no, it's happening in West Memphis at the new facility. I had no idea. So we get back in the car, and it's fine, though, because, Damien hasn't been to Marion in forever. So he gets to see the sights of, the drive to Marion. And we drive back to West Memphis to where we're supposed to be. But on the way back, I think we drove past Lakeshore Trailer Park. We drove past all these places that he hasn't seen in forever, which was kind of neat. And we get to the place, the new facility in West Memphis where they have court. I was like, oh, well, this is cool. It's brand new. There's a billion people there, though. Like lots of people there. All these people who want to be there, who have been supporting the case for so long. I mean, this case is incredible when you think about the amount of support that these clients have had, for all these years and still do, We get to we park, we get out. What is it like? Yeah, so it had to be 2022 because they're not letting anyone inside yet. They're following these really strict COVID protocols that we weren't even following in Shelby County, Tennessee at that point. We were on strict COVID protocols in the courthouses in Memphis for a long time. So they were only when they finally did start letting people in, it was just a few people, and we had to be all spaced out. We all did masks on in court. They almost didn't let Damien in. I was let in. Lori's in there. Damien's in there. Maybe a few more people, not that many people. Patrick, of course, because he's going to be arguing for sending the evidence off. And so we're all in there. And we're all thinking this, honestly, I thought maybe this was just going to be a formality. We just have to have this hearing and then stuff's going to be sent off. That is not what happened at all. The judge decided she wasn't going to let it happen because Damien, I'm really bare bonesing this right now, but because Damien doesn't have the right or ability to ask for testing on his case anymore because he's no longer in custody. Essentially.
No standing.
Right. That happened. Yeah, it was very surprising. I don't think that anyone really thought that how that was going to play out that day. But that's not where the story ended. So we left that day, and I drove Damien around more. I was like, I know we can have this be a completely wasted day, or is there anything you want to see while you're here that we didn't already see from our field trip this morning? He did. He wanted to drive around and see, that was his home for, growing up. And so we drove around to some places, and I was really honored to be able to do that for him. So that was, cool. We did that. And then
how did he take it? Did he tear up? Did he laugh? What was it like for him?
I think it was very nostalgic for him. We went to the library. He wanted to go to the library. And so we went to the library, and we went in the library. And I guess he spent a lot of time at the library in West Memphis. We went to, the trailer park where he had grown up on Broadway, and just places, Lakeshore, like I said. It was very nostalgic, I think. Yeah. That's
really cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome, man. I hope something good comes out of that.
I do too. So yeah, so that happened that day, and of course the fight didn't stop. It didn't stop there. They kept, going with it, the attorneys and the Innocence Project, and then eventually the Supreme Court, I guess, Arkansas said that he does have the right to have this tested, and so it was ordered that they send things off, which is what's happening now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good luck.
I know. Such a long, drawn-out thing, right?
Yeah. Real quick, there was something else that happened to you recently too, right? Involving Alfred pleas?
Yeah. Well, we were talking last week about the Alfred plea, and I did have a client, first-degree murder. He was indicted and charged. He took an Alfred plea for voluntary manslaughter. He was in court. His family was there. And after court, of course, we're standing outside court talking to them about what to expect next. And they have questions about what just happened. I, explain it to them the best that I can. The attorney's there as well. We're talking. And then it was my client's aunt, uncle, and a family friend neighbor that were there. And the aunt, she said, while I'm explaining the Alford plea and what just happened, she said, do you follow the West Memphis Three? And I said, yes, ma'am. I'm familiar with the West Memphis Three a little bit. And she said, they took an Alford plea. This is kind of like that, right? And I'm like, it's kind of like that. I said, as a matter of fact, Damien was my client, and she's like, I always knew they were innocent. And yeah, it was just so funny because we had just talked about Alford pleas, and then her nephew is taking one, and she's a huge follower of the case. You never know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. I'm sorry I didn't have a whole lot to add this week, but it's your story after.
I know. Why didn't you go with me that day when
we were fighting?
Oh, we were?
Yeah, you were very mean to me back then.
No, I remember specifically what else was going on that day was Gabriel was, doing his summer training, our older son. He was in Navy ROTC in undergrad. And I do remember that he was in Japan for his first trip. So that would have been the summer before junior year, because he went to Japan twice for summer training with the Navy. Because that same night before I went over there is when he got pulled out of line trying to board the plane home. Remember?
He was in Japan and got pulled out of line. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's something had happened with his ticket, and he was in this very rural airport in Japan where no one spoke
Fukuoka.
And no one spoke English. I guess that
they speak English, but
well, I don't know. Well, he was having a hard time communicating with them about how his ticket had been changed, and they had 2 boarding passes. It was very confusing, and so he was kind of just stuck at this rural airport in Japan and couldn't figure out. And I didn't know. Yeah, so I'm on, Central Time in the U.S. and he's on Japan times, which is where he was 14 hours ahead. I was not really sleeping. I was on both times, and I do remember being extremely tired because, I had been up all night trying to figure out if he was actually going to get on a flight home, which of course he did. He's in Japan. I mean, it's not like a crime-ridden area or anything that I wasn't worried about his safety. It was just a matter of knowing when he's actually going to get on the plane to come home, which he did eventually. Okay. So that was going on, but I don't know what you were doing.
Something very important. Hey, you have a new email for folks that want to email you.
We do.
Do you want to share it?
No, you can share it because I can't remember what it is. Sorry.
It's Rachael at thegeiserfiles.com. RACHAEL at thegeiserfiles.com.
Okay, awesome. Yes, email me about whatever.
About things.
Yeah, anything you want to hear us talk about.
That is the show. Love you, mean it.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.